every challenge you grow, and when you have those challenges, whether emotional, people go through a lot of circumstance in life. That was me that started this challenge. And it was like, I went through a challenge that it was very, very hard on me. It drained me emotionally, it drained me physically, it drained me everywhere that you can think of, to the point that I was having anxiety attacks that I couldn't control. And I was like, what is happening with me? What's going on? And I think that at the end of the day, when I started going through that process, one of the things that I started to look into is like perspective, right? Like, how do we put things into perspective, and how do we change that perspective so that I can myself take care of me so I can take care of others?
Makes sense.
And it was a valuable advice I got from a person, because when I went through this challenge, the first thing I can think about is my children. And I'm like, I got to take care of them. And at the end of the day, that person told me, no, you're incorrect. You should take care of yourself first, because if you do, everything surrounding you will be taken care of. And I was like, bingo, genius.
Welcome to the DC podcast. I'm your host today, David Chinelli. I'm usually not the host.
I love it.
Asks me questions. But today, guys, for episode 19, you're in for such a great treat. I got my really good friend here, local realtor at Royal LePage Signature, Rodrigo Robalino, with me. I'll tell you a little bit about him. But we're just going to dive into kind of like our history, like how we met, how we became friends, maybe foes. I don't know. A little bit kind of stuff, how the...
So we're getting private here.
Yeah, we're going to get private. We're going to talk a little bit of even how the pandemic affected you and some challenges you've seen lately. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to my really good friend, Rodrigo. Rodrigo, thank you for coming, my friend.
David, thanks for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So this is one of your first podcasts, huh?
It is. Oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Should be good. Should be fun.
Keep smiling.
Should be fun. Yeah.
So a little history of me and Rodrigo, how we became friends. This MF joined.
That's a great part.
Yeah.
Good start.
I'm trying not to swear. My mom told me, you swear too much on your podcast. She watches these. And I'm like, Mom, me being a real person, how much do I swear? She's like, well, you swear less on the podcast. I'm like, so I'm holding back.
That's right.
So this beautiful man, MF. I had a couple listings a couple years ago, 2021. It was freezing cold. I remember back then. I think it was February or so. All of a sudden, Rodrigo calls me and he's like, hey, I'm with your brokerage, just joined. We have a showing at your property. I think it was the one in Etobicoke. I'm like, great. And then he called me, half hour later, he's like, you're not going to believe this, but I have another showing. I'm like, great. So I had two properties at the time. One had an offer date. In case you don't know what an offer date is, we list the property below market value. The idea is we try to draw a lot of people to come to the property so we get multiple offers, and we let the buyers bid each other up. So, that's kind of the idea. But the other property we had listed pretty much at going price. So what the actual market value was. So Rodrigo knew that I had an offer date. And the asshole gives me an offer on both houses on the same day while I'm working on the offer, which had 9 or 10 offers going on. And he calls me up and he's like, I send you an offer. I'm like, I know, I got the offer for the house which is in New Tecumseh. And he's like, no, I'm sending you one for the one in Etobicoke. I'm like, can you wait? No, man, I need to get this done. This is your words. I'm like, get it done, buddy. Get it done. I'm like, fuck off, man. I'm literally in the middle of negotiations. So anyway, at the end of the day, we got one of the deals. We got the Etobicoke deal.
That's
done.
right.
You played your card, right? I got my guys to sign back and you guys accepted it, which was fantastic. And then that's how our friendship started blooming.
That's right.
And then what also helped along the way is a little bit about myself and swearing. The reason why I alluded to that, I would call Rodrigo. And we're like in a conversation. I'm dropping F-bombs. He's like, dude. I'm like, what? He goes, Disney time. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean Disney? What's Disney time? He goes, I got my 2 young boys in the car. Can you stop swearing? Like, oh shit, I forgot. And he's like, Dave, stop swearing. So it's a little bit of us. So
that's right.
Thank you, motherfucker.
There we go. Exactly. And I love that because that's how it all started, right? So it all started that way, and it was a great story. You never heard of my side. What happened was that, at the end of the day, I did end up doing those showings. At that point, I did not know who you were. And as soon as we showed your listing, then we had a good conversation. Then I showed the next listing. I'm like, okay, I need to know who this guy guy is. Then I started looking you up. I'm like, oh, this guy's a top performer. I got to figure this out. And as soon as I heard you having that conversation, I knew I had to trigger you. Right. And that's where the MF came in and said, okay, like, let's figure this shit out because we got to do the best things for our clients. Right.
And it worked.
And pressure comes in. And I think we both did well for our clients. We did incredible. But it worked out really well. And a friendship came out of that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think after meeting you, now I start swearing as well. And I'm allowing my kids to, like, so we came more often to that,
Word of advice, do not do a swear jar. If you're going to go down this path, I've already put my kids through college, dude. Like,
That's right.
It's like, they actually get annoyed at how much I swear.
Agreed. That's my son now.
Have to swear every minute, Dad? I'm like, no, I don't have to, but...
Thanks to David Chinelli, this is where we're at.
Go to my brand. So then fast forward, Rodrigo and I just got to be really good friends. We started talking, found out my very first person I brought on the show was your old next door neighbor, Nurse.
Oh, get out of here. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So Nurse was the first guy we brought on as, because in the beginning we were just doing podcasts, just, Agent 00 behind me over
I
here
saw him,
asking me questions.
Drilling on you.
And I wanted to bring in, realtors giving their side of it. That's how I kind of wanted to do it.
Right.
And Nurse was my friend. I don't know, for some reason, I was like,
awesome.
I got to bring Nurse. So the reason why I'm telling that is that Rodrigo used to be next door neighbors with him, right?
Yeah, we still are.
Still next door.
Yeah.
Okay,
He still likes me, so he's still there, so which is great.
So Rodrigo had, I guess it was you had a golf foursome you needed to go.
Yes,
So one of
that's
your
right.
mortgage brokers.
Yep, that's right.
So this is my first interaction with Rodrigo in person. He calls up me and Nurse. So it says, hey, I got a foursome for this mortgage company. There's another guy from our office that's just coming. I'll meet you at the golf course. So if you guys know anything about tournaments, you should be early. If not even on time is almost a sin, but you got to be early. So I showed up about half an hour early. Nurse was already there. Like, we don't play golf. None of us really play golf really well. Like, I play golf maybe 4 or 5 times a year. Nurse is probably 1 or 2.
Me zero. Yeah, me zero.
So
I never knew what a foursome was.
I'm like, dude, it's not sexual.
What is a foursome?
Well, when you asked me you want to do a foursome, I had to ask. I'm like, dude, you know I'm married, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, that's exactly how the call went. Do you want to join a foursome?
I'm like, wait, can I have to ask Natalie? Okay. So anyway, the reason why I'm bringing this style, so again, we have to show up. So I showed up about 20 minutes early. Nurses are half hour early. Nurse is already there, already fully dressed, ready to go. And we got there. So, just kind of taking our time, went to the guys who were like, Rodrigo, which is the head, who knows everybody here, nowhere to be found. And then Omar from our office too, again, nowhere to be found.
That's right.
Finally, we're almost 5 minutes late. You showed up wearing shorts and fucking deck shoes to
That's
play
right.
18
To go
holes of
sailing.
golf. All right, and you had to borrow clubs.
That's right. That's right. I didn't have any clubs.
That was my
no
first
clubs,
issue.
no balls.
No balls.
No.
I'm like, oh, I guess we had to bring our own balls. I'm like, dude.
Well, and then I get to the counter and they're like, do you want soft balls or hard balls? And I'm like, I don't know. Just give me some balls. Like, I just want to play, let's go.
And then you have to buy tees too, and you're like, this is expensive. I'm like, yeah. No one
got it. I'm like, what is this game?
Oh my God, we had so many laughs that day, man. That's the first time we met in person. So that's my long introduction one of my best friends in the world, that Royal LePage signature, Rodrigo.
Well,
Welcome,
thank you, David. Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Was that a good introduction?
It's a great introduction. I think it's
we
awesome.
even talk that you're a top realtor and all that other shit.
We'll forget that side, Who cares about that?
Oh, by the way, he sells a lot of houses.
We do pretty well. It's okay. We do all right.
Yeah. So how was your transition to Signature? Where were you before Signature?
I was actually under Remax. So I was under Remax Realtron. Then I know. The dark side. Finally, I saw the white cloud. I'm like, all right, that's where I need to go, So at the end of the day, it's like under Remax for about 8 years at that time, or 7 years. And I decided to make a change. It was that time. And it was during COVID that everything happened.
Yeah.
So never met anybody. And I got a good introduction to one of the owners at Royal LePage Signature. And from one conversation to another one led me, to believe that there's top performers here. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, then, let's start connecting. Let's start chatting.
Yeah.
So, and here I am.
Yeah. And then your experience since?
Well, I met you and, it's been, we already talked about that,
It's been terrible. Met you.
Why did I make the change?
Go home every night crying in your corner. Like, why did I do it? Yeah. And again, you're a top performer every year. Yep. So it's still doing well. That's awesome. So another aspect I really liked when you joined too, we started a nice little Peloton group, which I think our viewers kind of know that too. So there's If you guys notice, there's a little bit of side hustle going on here. Most of my clients, sort of people we're bringing on, other than my wife, actually she does Peloton too, I guess now. But we're all on the Royal LePage on the Signature Spin Club. Which
That's
I
right.
guess we've become co-captains, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know. You got it.
Yeah. So how you liking that? And
you know what? I love it. I love the fact that we have a great group of people that are like-minded and that we push ourselves every Thursday. You know, we try to do it every Thursday, right?
I don't get on at 6 o'clock.
I know, which is kind of disappointing. It's kind of disappointing. I gotta say, Dave, like, come on, Dave, like a little bit early, you know.
But I did come off for your 300th
I did, and
ride.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I did appreciate
so
that.
Rodrigo had his 300th ride the other day, and I did get up at 6 the other day, and I was like, no, absolutely, I gotta come on you.
Yeah, and I love it when you come in, especially like I still remember the time that you came literally back from surgery. You're like, I gotta take it easy. Was it already back from surgery? It was, right?
It was my first ride after surgery.
And you're like, oh, I gotta take it easy. I'm gonna go this. So I'm like, you know, let's go easy. Let's take it easy on Dave. Next thing I know, you're like leading the pack and you're like getting away from me like very, very quickly. I'm not keeping up with you. And I'm like, who is this guy like, after surgery, man?
I jumped on there thinking I was just, even on your 300 ride, Matt Sloan was in there. He was challenging for the beginning. His hardly comes on. I'm like, no, you're not beating me.
That's right. You're gonna go full force there.
In the beginning he was, and then afterwards he's like, "Holy shit!" I'm like,
"That's
yeah.
right."
Like, so I talk about the Peloton because I want people to be active, and it's great. Right. The reason why we bring this up is if you're struggling finding workout partners or figuring something out, like if you have an app or you have a bike like the Peloton in which you have accountability, I think that really helps a lot of people stay on track. Right?
That's right.
We have a number of people on the group that do that. They say, hey, I need some accountability.
That's right.
It's great for that too.
Yep.
I think that's great, like in your own WhatsApp group, or just do that in Peloton, or if there's other apps, stuff. We just use Peloton. I like the Peloton app. I like the bikes and stuff we do.
And it creates a great community, right? It's just a great community, right? Like just whether you're riding on the bike or whether you're having conversations on the side, great community. People are staying healthy, people are staying strong, and it's a good way to just have a great start to your day, right?
Yeah.
So I think that your works well.
It also helps having parties at my house for the
I was gonna bring it up, but I was like, okay, let Dave not bring it. Yeah.
No, that's all right. You can talk about it. We just had one the other day.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Well, for the part that I can remember, it was great. You know. So the other part, no, I'm just kidding. No, it was a great party overall. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Besides the fact that there's no lock in your washroom, it's just kind of like, you know, like
we do that on purpose.
I'm telling you, I'm more worried there. I'm like, dude,
as I say to everybody, we have 6 bathrooms in our house. You don't have to use the one with the lock.
That's right. But I wish I knew where the other 6 were, you know?
On map, you'll find your way around my house.
That's the problem right there, Dave. But yeah, great party, great people. I think it's been good.
Yeah. I think we had about 60-some plus people at the house. Yeah,
that was a lot.
It was catered by the Royal LePage. They did a great job.
Amazing. Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's about the community, right? Yeah. And, you know, they're great. Royal LePage is there, and they show up and help us out, and that's amazing. And, of course, you being the host, that's incredible.
Yeah, what I said to Sam one time, Sam Hewitt was the second guest we had, our manager, and basically what she said was, you know, if you want to host a party, we promptly had one at my house, and then we had the Peloton one. We're like, we do it again. I said, great. So what they do is they bring, you know, staff. We had, you know, people serving hors d'oeuvres, and we had a guy making drinks. We ordered some pizzas the last time instead of the first time we had, remember, the caterer, and we're like, we don't need this. Let's order pizzas, wings, and stuff like that too. And I think people could just enjoy drinking.
That's right.
Have a good time.
That's all we need.
We're on the way home, and we're all good. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. That's the way I like it. So yeah, so if you want to be one of our friends, join us on Peloton.
I agree with you.
So one of the things taking back to real estate.
Yep.
One of the things you actually helped me out with a lot during that whole first interaction was you told me about your buyer agent.
Yep.
And at that time I had a couple of listings, but I was driving around. I still kind of drive around everywhere, but now I have help. But you brought something to me which I never thought about before, how you brought on a buyer agent and paid them for, you know, showings. Can you explain that, or how that really changed my focus and really helped me as well? Mm-hmm. Like, I think other people would find that beneficial. So explain to me what you guys do in your team. So
what we do is we ended up bringing in a licensed agent who becomes a buyer agent, and he helps me with all the showings, all the visits that we need to do. It helps me with my time, to be very, very completely transparent. At the same time, I do get involved through the process. I do get involved with the process of negotiation, being there with our clients, making sure that they're making the right decisions. But at the same time, it helps me to leverage in the sense that I'm able to see multiple homes with different agents, and I'm able to help other people as well. I think in a market where you have low inventory, you need to be able to, you know, be out there in many, many places, and you can't do it all yourself, right? You can't duplicate yourself. So that's when I brought the buyer agents, and I brought in a licensed agent as well, which I pay him per showing. I pay him per hour, so that at the end of the day, things get completed. So it in a sense, it becomes a part-time employee of the business. And and that's what I did. It's been working phenomenal. I've changed his payment structure here and there with bonuses and being able, because at the end of the day, like, you got to reward people for hard work that they do. It's not easy. And at the end of the day, when they get rewarded, they see the rewards coming in, they work harder for you, and they become committed to the business. And if I'm able to deliver a good service to our clients, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And there has to be some measurable things, like metrics in which you need to. So one of the not challenges. So what we did is I brought in Julia and Ariana. So Julia is now becoming she's my assistant, my licensed assistant, but also does the showing stuff for me as well. And we're using kind of your structure as well. So we need to figure out bonuses and those kinds of things, because now she has a full-time salary, has benefits, et cetera, right? So which also helps. So it also helps, with me a lot. Like, she did a home inspection the other day. She could set up lock boxes, et cetera. It's invaluable, your time. I've said that many, many times. But the other thing is, I noticed when I was talking to you the one time, I remember I got home and I had a conversation. I felt as if I was high, because I couldn't even remember some of the things. I was out that one house. I went from 9 a.m. and I was driving around till 10 at night. So it's, 13 hours on the road. I was kind of delirious. And you told me about this, and I'm like, it kind of kicked in, and like that next day. And that's why I started the process. And I thought so I have to say thank you. Like, you've totally helped transform my business. So
wow.
It's been literally I didn't know where to go, because I had an assistant, virtual, and it just brought everything. So we're trying to use building blocks, and these are kinds of the things we want to change, and basically service our clients better, making sure we're there, that we're not just a figurehead and just send everybody else out. We want to be involved in the process.
That's right. I think our strength comes into when it comes to negotiation, finding out market value. Are we giving the right advice and facts to our clients to make sure that they're making the right decision, right? And I think that's where we need to focus our time in. And I'm glad it helped. Because to me, it's been a huge, huge thing with our business, because at the end of the day, I'm able to focus on what needs to be done for the business and for the best interest of the client, right? And I remember having that conversation with you in those nights, and I think I asked him, like, why are you doing that day?
Yeah,
like, why?
Even today, I have to go drive a little. I do that for certain clients, because it's like, I can do that at night, but I can't do that if I need to be multiple places. It just can't happen. So, well, the other day for my birthday, for example, my clients had a certain days. I was out on my birthday, so Julia did the showings for me, and it's like, it's good to have that backup, and I appreciate. I don't know if she can hear me back there, but I really do appreciate everything she does for me. And to the staff, she's awesome. So
they're a blessing,
Well, they absolutely are. Yeah, and we have to treat them right in order that they don't want to go somewhere else. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I know you do that, right? And Julie can tell me if not, and we're always recruiting.
Yeah, exactly. I'll come after you, you asshole. I know where you live.
I know exactly. Well, I had to throw it out there, Dave.
Bastard. Oh man! All right. So a little bit talk. So we did meet just during the kind of the pandemic. How did the pandemic overall affect you, both in business and personally?
Well, I think, when the pandemic hit, I don't think anybody knew where we were going to be heading towards, what was going to happen. I think everybody was in shock. March of 2020, right, came around. Like, to me, that's already history. And I'm like, it came around, but I still remember the feeling. I'm like, OMG, what's going to happen, right? And I'm like, what would David say at this moment? And I'm like, fuck. But that comes to mind right away, and I'm like, holy shit, right? Like, what are we gonna do, right? And I still remember with real estate, it was like, okay, how are we gonna advise our clients, because we didn't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, what's gonna happen 2 weeks from now, right?
But, well, in general, we don't. I always laugh. People ask what's going to happen next year. We don't know. We barely know what's going to happen the next 2 months.
Exactly.
And the pandemic, it was like even
worse.
Like, holy shit! Like,
exactly. So how can you guide your clients if you don't know where we're headed? Right? You can't.
At the end of 2020, I think we kind of saw where the market was with the condos, because we saw the Airbnbs were affected. We saw that the condos prices had dropped. So I was calling my clients and saying, buy condos now. And some of them were like, well, they're kind of humming. And like, now they look back like, shit.
I should have bought a few. We should have bought a few.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm like, listen, that was the only path we saw right there. But we had no idea where 2021 was going to be as crazy as it was, or 2022.
That's right.
That was insane.
And even right now, like, there's an opportunity for move-up buyers, right? Like, the gap between like even semis and detached has decreased. Very big opportunity for clients. Absolutely. And I know you're communicating that. We're communicating that in our business. Yeah. And I think there's an opportunity there, right? But looking back at COVID, nobody thought, I seriously thought, like, that's it, we're going down. And like, what am I going to do? Like, where am I headed next?
You really thought we were going to be back?
I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, because I couldn't remember, like, if I remember properly, we couldn't even do showings at one point. Remember, Remember, Trev sent out and said, sorry, no more showings. And I'm like, how are we going to sell a house?
Do you remember doing those virtual open houses? And
exactly.
I remember walked down my one buddy who actually, Alex, who ended up buying his client to buy my house. And I remember popping on to see what he's like. And he's like, hey, Dave, how you doing? I'm like, oh, shit, you can see me? And I was like, this is really weird. He goes, yeah, I remember. His name is Alex from Remax. And we're like, because when I did my MBA, he was an undergrad. It's good friends. And he was just saying, he goes, yeah, this sucks balls. And I'm like, it looks terrible. Like, he wasn't even in there. He was doing pictures because he couldn't even go to the listing to do the open house. He had to show pictures behind him and a green screen. And I'm like, don't tell me this is where we're going. Holy shit.
That's right. So at that point, I'm like, okay, like, how are we going to do this, right? And immediately trying to adjust, trying to change things. How are we going to figure this out for our clients? Clients wanted to stay put. They're like, we're not going to put things on the market. There's no way. But next thing you know, we had those 2 years within COVID were the best years in real estate, right? It was crazy. The demand went up. Nobody else had nothing else to do, but hey, let's go look for homes. Let's make a move. We're here.
And more disposable income.
That's right. Tons of savings. There was a lot of stuff that was happening that made a lot of sense when it came down to real estate. And look at the interest rates. I don't think we're ever going to see those interest rates anymore. I put in a situation where you were borrowing for free. Right. So people made the right move at that time. And at the same time, again, I think there's opportunities everywhere in the market, but it's just analyzing those numbers, right?
The funny thing we talk about today's market and people are like, oh, the interest rate's so high. I'm like, they're back to normal. Like when I bought my first house, I think we paid like 6% interest rate. And I was like, I know you guys got spoiled the last couple of years, but I've been buying real estate for 17 years now. And we're like, I remember when I got that rate, that was a good rate. My dad was talking about 15%. So now it's just, we talk to our clients and communicating that with them, that these interest rates aren't a low ball, like they aren't as low as they were, but they're still regular price. This is actually, they're still low, and compared to what, the past. I remember, I don't know if I talked about this before, but I had an ex and her dad was telling me that when they first bought their house, 24% interest rate. Granted, the purchase price was much lower back then, but he said every single penny they had, they went into just paying on the principal to get that house paid off as soon as they could, because 24% could have crippled them. I'm like, absolutely. I don't care what environment you're in. You're not, whatever salary you're making, that's a lot of interest. That's a lot of interest.
It's huge. You're just paying interest. You're not paying anything, you're not paying down at that point.
Yeah.
Right. But I think what you just said there is very clear. It's about perspective. Right. I think people get spoiled with 1 or 2% and they see 5 and they're like, oh, what are we going to do here? While the people that saw 18, 19%, they're like, oh, okay, we're in a normal market. Right. So it's all about perspective. And I think that we got to put not just business into perspective as well as personal challenges and stuff like that. It all comes down to perspective.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times the ones that are worried about it were the ones that overspent. I think not overspent, sorry, in the sense that they were at
overextended.
The top. Extended. That's right. They overextend their point. But, Chris, our manager, or I guess our owner of Royal LePage, brought up a good point. He's like, well, if you talk to your clients that are in a variable, they're getting hammered. He goes, talk about to getting now that the fixed rate is lower, get them in a 2 or 3 year fixed rate low just to save payments.
That's right.
And that could really help. And I'm like, that's a great piece of advice.
That's right.
I might do that myself.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah. It's absolutely. Yeah. And again, you're not gambling on what the interest rates could be later on if they drop. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So a little bit more anything. So, and personally, how did the pandemic affect you?
Great question. It was really challenging, to be honest. From the pandemic, there became a lot of challenges on the personal side of things. Not going to dive into it, all those personal challenges, but I'll tell you one thing, that is from every challenge you grow and when you have those challenges, whether emotional, people go through a lot of circumstances in life. That was me that started this challenge. And it was like, I went through a challenge that it was very, very hard on me. It drained me emotionally, it drained me physically, it drained me everywhere that you can think of, to the point that I was having anxiety attacks that I couldn't control. And I was like, what is happening with me? What's going on? And I think that at the end of the day, when I started going through that process, one of the things that I started to look into is perspective, right? Like, how do we put things into perspective and how do we change that perspective so that I can myself take care of me so I can take care of others?
Makes sense.
And it was a valuable advice I got from a person, because when I went through this challenge, the first thing I can think about is my children. And I'm like, I got to take care of them. And at the end of the day, that person told me, no, you're incorrect. You should take care of yourself first, because if you do, everything surrounding you will be taken care of. And I was like, bingo, genius. So at that point, kind of my life changed. And last year in August, and I was telling you a little bit about this, and we talked, is that, I ended up climbing one of the volcanoes in Ecuador. It's the third highest volcano, active volcano, and it's about 6,000 meters. Put that into perspective, a lot of people don't make it. Out of 56 climbers, only 3 of us made it to the top. And
The rest didn't die though, right?
no, they didn't die. No.
Well,
But
yeah,
you know what?
I mean, like,
They didn't die, but I'll tell you, the week before we climbed, because it was a lot of, right now the park is closed, like the mountain's closed because of changes in the weather and because it's active. But the week before, 2 people died. The week after we did it, 4 people died. Right?
Get out.
Yeah. And it was one of those things that when I landed in Ecuador to do this challenge, mentally I wasn't ready, and it was kind of getting out of your comfort zone. It's something very discomforting, right? And you have fear, but there's something inside you, a flame that goes like, I need to do this. Put things into perspective. You know, when we went up there, what happens is that because of the weather patterns changing, and because it's an active volcano, there's craters that open up that sometimes you think it's ice and you can walk on it, and these craters just open up and then you just drop. And that's why people die. Yeah. Even though you're hanging in a rope, right? You're dropping 30, 40, 50 meters. That's it. Like, you're done at that point.
Done.
And when I landed there, like, nobody wanted to take me. You know, guides were like, sorry, like, the first question I got, it's like, how many mountains have you climbed? And at that point I was like, 0. And people were like, you're insane. You're not going to do this. You need to have at least 8 to 10 mountain climbs before you actually go and try to do this one, right? This is not touristic. This is the real thing. So when I started looking into it, I finally had a referral, and the guy told me, he's like, look, man, I'll take you. But he's like, I'll take your money. He didn't say, I'll take you. He said, I'll take your money. I'll take your money, but with one condition. He's like, at the end of the day, if one of my guides, if their lives are in danger, I don't care about you. We're coming down. You're coming down. And if you don't want to come down, then at the end of the day, my guide is coming down. It's up to you what you're going to do next.
Shit.
I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was like. All right, this is the real thing.
Challenge accepted.
That's right. Exactly.
It's funny you were talking about fear, and our next episode is a whole episode based on fear. So if you're watching, watch next week's episode. We'll talk about challenging and how fear challenges and how we try to overcome them too.
Yep.
And it's like, you're a prime example of that. There's a lot of fear. You could have sat back and just been crumbled by.
Right.
There's a couple of fears we can talk about. They're like, first off, the fear of, what happened in your personal life too. I like that advice. Somebody, they said, take a look after yourself. And I always remember people always go back to this when you're in an airplane and the oxygen masks comes on. What do they tell you to do?
First you.
Take
That's
care of
right.
yourself first.
That's right.
And then take after your child, because
That's right.
it's true. You do. A lot of people, we find that we're constant. And I'm trying to get my mother to understand this as well too. Like, you have to take care of yourself first, because if you don't, you're not going to be around. You're not helping anybody if that happens. Or if you got incapacitated, you're not going to help anybody else.
That's right.
And then the second thing, obviously, the fear of the mountain. And that's fear of death was right there in front of your face. Like, literally.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But to be honest, because of the challenge I was going through, that fear kind of went away, and I was like, you know what? It's okay. Let's just go do this, and let's go forward. Right?
So how are you using that in your listening presentation?
I should implement that, man.
You don't think I'm scared of this?
Great
mountain?
idea.
Look what I did. I climbed this mountain. 4 people died right after me. Son of a bitch. I can sell this piece of shit house. I love it.
That's right. That's exactly what it is, I'm going to implement that.
Yeah. Any other challenges you're finding with your team atmosphere? Was that also, with COVID, did it change how your team looked? Did you lose people, bring people on? How did that work?
What? It actually brings your perspective again on things, especially with the team. We did shift things around in the team, but I'll tell you that the core of the team stayed, and everybody that needed to stay has been there and is there with the team, which is great. We adjusted according to the market and what the needs of the market were. We also had some people that they had other opportunities as well, not even within real estate. They had other opportunities to leave, and it's hard to see them leave, but it's in their best interest. They came for advice and they said, look, what should I do? Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, you're always looking for the best interest of people, and why hold somebody back? And it was, I'm thinking of one person, and he's an amazing person, but he had other opportunities he wanted to discover, right? And that's great. Like, that's the one thing that I said, go. This is an amazing opportunity. Do it, right? Like, you're young, you have everything in front of you. Do it. I think that sometimes we don't give the proper advice when advice is given, or we give advice when advice is not even asked. It's interesting how these things work. When I'm in front of the team, I'm always asking myself the question, being like, okay, what do I need to do here? Are they looking for just support, or are they looking for advice? And sometimes we just give advice, right? And one of the things that has worked really well is more like, okay, like, how do we support people that are around us? And with that support being, how do we support the other people that are around surrounding the team, which is our clients, right? So yes, it's been challenging through COVID, even working from home, you lose that connection of people being at the office, being with you. You lose that connection, and it's been very, very tough in that sense. But the other thing too is that people become more independent. Like there's always pluses. And again, I'm always looking at the positive side of things on what needs to be done. And I look at challenges like the mountain, right? Like it's like, okay, here's another mountain I got to climb. But once I'm down the mountain, I'm going to come down and I know what the solution is, and I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to climb another mountain, because that's what life is all about.
So I've talked about, and you watch my videos and stuff. Yep. I talked about about surrounding yourself with people that are positive, that help you and push you. Rodrigo, you're one of those people that always pushes us, and us as not only friends, and but you're somebody, one of those people I would want close to me, because you have the same mentality as I do. I think there's every negative, there's always going to be a positive. We challenge things, I think, different way. We've had some shitty times last both, and we've talked to we've had some heart to hearts, and we're going to get together for some drinks.
we got to go more.
and it's funny how we sometimes think about how we're by ourselves until you start talking to other people, and you're like, oh shit, this person's in the same position I am. Oh, they've done this. Oh, they've done that. And if you don't talk about those kinds of things, nobody knows about them, right? And you end up internalizing it. It makes it worse. Whereas I find if you challenge, we talk about it, and then we can, make a positive out of it. I think it changes your whole perspective. And you want to surround yourself with somebody that you can talk, be open and honest, and say, hey, sometimes I just need to cry. Sometimes I just need to be mad. And sometimes I need your help to help me out with this. And you want to have those people in your life, such as yourself, which have been a beacon of help for me, to be able to talk to and say, hey man, I need your help. Is that all right?
That's right. And vice versa, Dave. And in all honesty, it's been a huge help. Like you said, we've had our hearts to hearts, and we think alike. And you surround yourself with great people. And I think that's why we're here, right? Yeah. We can shoot the shit, or we can talk about stuff, and we can laugh, and, make our lives harder when it comes down to business sometimes here and there. But it's okay. That's just part of the life, Well,
one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Rodrigo on here is I wanted to show people that two things. One, it was one, how much you absolutely care about your clients. I think that's huge, right? And we were talking about this on another podcast with Owen, and we were saying on Instagram, not Instagram, more of TikTok, how people are just shitting on realtors, especially me, all you realtors, and all they do is shit on us. And I answer back, I said, listen, and they think that we're just these terrible human beings. And I asked people, and I'm like, who is your realtor that you're so jaded towards us?
Right.
And you haven't worked with us. You don't know what me and Rodrigo are like to work with us. And we have your best interest at heart. So yeah, there are asshole realtors, but there's assholes in every single industry.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? I think that's the problem. I think people get jaded by that way, right? And the other reason I wanted to bring you on is I like saying realtors can have negotiations with each other and be friends at the end of it. We can talk about it. Nurse and I talked about it before, and I wanted to bring other people's perspective. You don't have to have a realtor going in and saying just be a dick to the other realtor in order to win a deal or something like that.
No.
Too. It has nothing to do with the old school way of mentality of you have to be an asshole towards other people. We're probably going to do many more deals together or help each other on other ones, even if we're not in the same realm. I think that goes a lot further, especially for our industry.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that takes you it's one step further, right? I think, we call a listing agent, and then we call cooperating agent. I think it's called cooperating agent for a reason. But I think some people take it the wrong way, right? They want to come in forces, being all right, let's put our fist up, and we're going to go in there. And it's no. That's what the negotiations is all about. Yeah. I think it comes from communication. It comes from knowing who the other person is on the other side and whether or not you can deal with them. But at the end of the day, there's two people looking after the best interests of the clients. I know that there is a happy medium for everybody, because at the end of the day, that's where good negotiation comes in, right? And you and I have been great at that. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people that we know that we surround ourselves with that are the same, including, Nurse, great buddy, great friend, great realtor. And we've done business together too. And in the same way.
And we pat each other on the back too. When he has a great listing the other day, I'm he just sold a $6 million listing. I'm awesome. Good for you. You deserve that. Yeah. And he does an awesome job. And whereas we have other people going there just grumbling. I have had these other realtors too. They're, I don't know if I told you this. One of my friends, he's trying to do some ads for us on the side. And he's and we're getting things flagged, and turns out it's another realtor who's jealous on us, who keeps flagging us instead of going out and doing that stuff. And it's he comes back, he goes, I think he found his IP to where it was, and he's like, this realtor keeps flagging you. And it was just I don't even know this person. Okay. And it was just over and over again. So all of my ads were going into review, and I'm like, what are you doing wrong there? He goes, there's nothing on here.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And people have the time to do this, which is frustrating.
Well, this is why he's not.
Right.
He's not a top
Right.
performer.
Well,
and he's just on. And he's because he's not a top performer, and he's grumbling because he's not getting the business. Instead of putting that energy towards making your life better and stuff like that too. He's just those type of people. If I can't go up, I'm going to bring you down.
And then you have clients complaining about him, going into TikTok complaining about you because they think everybody's equal.
Exactly.
Right. So I don't think that's good.
Yeah. So this whole thing is about awareness of so listen, the guys Rodrigo's unbelievable. Like you watch the stuff that you do it's great, and you're an inspiration.
David.
I absolutely love what you do.
It goes back and forth, man. I'm learning from the best. So thanks, David.
I know you've been doing. We all compliment and rip each other, and that's the way. Yeah,
That's how it goes.
that's how we go. Like, he's like a brother to mine.
That's
You know what I
fair,
mean?
man.
It's awesome. So we're just gonna wrap up quickly, but for on this closing talk, I think this is. For me, it was great. One of my absolute pleasure having you here.
Thank you, David.
For somebody just closing out who doesn't know you, like how would you sum up your personality or your approach to real estate?
To me, I guess I'm going to talk about the company, right? It was funny. I was actually listening to a podcast when I was going for a long run. Like I'm going now for very long runs and I'm listening to podcasts when I do like a high intensity.
My podcast, right?
Yeah. That's right. Sorry. I'm listening to David's podcast. Let's correct that.
No, sorry,
Let's edit that, please.
Sorry, go. So you listen to my podcast,
That's
get some
right.
inspiration.
Yeah, so I'm listening to David's podcast.
That's
I'm listening.
better.
Yeah. So we're getting some inspiration from it. And at the end of the day, when we went into COVID, I started to the journey, our journey real estate team. And when I thought about it, you think about values, you think about our mission statement, you think about what our objectives are. And I just threw everything to the garbage and I thought, okay, what are our core values, right? And I really came up with 3 things. It's how can we help other people? Right? Are we doing that on a daily basis? How can we be empathetic? Right? And then the last thing is how do you take care of yourself so we can take care of others? And as a company, if we can do that, I know that everybody can be extremely, extremely efficient and we will not only have clients, but we'll have more advocates. Advocating great service, advocating the fact that what we do is the right thing for our clients, advocating the fact that when we tell them, look, walk away from a property because it doesn't make sense, because they will appreciate it, advocating the fact that if they don't need to sell, we tell them not to sell, right? All those things come into play and you and I have seen a long-term return on it. Absolutely. But not everybody does that. Yeah. So if you want to sum up who we are, I think those 3 things, that's who we are as a company and that's the values we stand behind.
I think I just told 5 people last week not to sell their houses.
Yeah,
because
I'm on the same boat.
It just didn't make sense. So I love that. I love that. If somebody wants to find you on social media, what's the best way of finding
Call David.
Good answer. No, it's honestly, if someone wants to find you on social media, what's the easiest?
So my personal page is actually Rodrigo _Robalino. I gotta say it that way.
You gotta say it.
I know. So let's put it in the English format. I know. Rodrigo _Robalino. You can find me that way. Corporately, our corporate page is actually journey.ca and on Instagram, so it's very easy to find us. But yeah, take a look at our page. That's what we do. On my personal page, you'll see a lot of the things that are going on the athletic side and what I'm doing, how I'm taking care of myself so we can take care of others.
Hey, you look great, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I'm just following you, man. I go to your house and I look at the gym that you have in the setup and I'm like, wow, look, David's ripped, man. And then I just take pictures of your reps on how many you're doing and I'm just copying what you're doing, So I want to look like you in a year from now,
I appreciate that, Paige. Now, honestly, guys, I would highly encourage you if you're following along, if you haven't already follow along with Rodrigo, do that. He's an inspiration to all of us, and that's coming from my heart. I absolutely love this individual. He's become family, and I love his brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
For those of you who don't follow along, you should follow along with me. You can find me at David V. Chinelli _realtor as my Instagram. From there, you have my link tree to all of our podcasts, always like our Facebook, Instagram, everything else. That's probably the easiest way to find us. If you're looking to follow along with us on our podcast, well, we do have these on YouTube. You can watch these, but we're on everywhere else you can possibly listen to your podcast. So please subscribe and and give us some comments because we want to know how, we'd love to hear how this was. And if this inspired you at all, or if you want to reach out, and if you've reached out to either one of us, how we responded, we'd like to hear that as well. Yeah. So
can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
If you're going out for a long run and you want to get inspired, hey, listen to your podcast, That's what I do, I guess,
That's all he does. See, he learns something every day when he puts the DC podcast on. Love it. All right, brother. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time. Bye for now.